Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back. That's right. It's that time of the week again. It's Pick and Go podcast time where we have a look at all things Super Rugby. And once again, here in studio with me, Pity Weepu. Pity, how was the week?
It was pretty good, actually. I think there was a lot of games that people would have thought was going to be easy for some of these teams, but it made for nail-biting games, except for one team, but we won't touch on that. Shirley might touch on that later. But
Yes, well, great time to welcome in our other panelist of the Pick and Go podcast, Ben Searle of Searley Talk Sports. Searley, an eventful weekend of Super Rugby.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. The quality of the games was awesome. The majority of the games anyway. I think that Battle of the Pacific was probably one of the most entertaining games of rugby I've watched in a long time. Just that last kind of 30-minute stretch there was great. That Hurricanes going to Golden Point, the Blues game. And it's always nice to see the Crusaders lose as well.
Okay, I'm glad you brought the Crusaders up because this week's question that I'm going to put to both of you two are the 0-2 Crusaders in crisis. Pity.
no, I don't think they are. I think they're still trying to find their feet. A few young, fresh faces in the team, and not only that, new head coach running the cutter. So I think they're just still trying to find their feet. But I mean, Crusaders have basically had either a bad start or in the middle of the season they've had a bad one, but they've always come back strong. So I wouldn't say it's a bit of a crisis. I mean, could have said that about the Canes when I was playing back then too.
Oh, it was a crisis.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were all saying it. You just didn't hear it. No.
But no, I don't think it's a bit of a crisis. I mean, it's early days. They're still trying to find their feet in this competition. And not only that, working on combinations to get it right.
But Searley, we've heard Pity, I think, in an earlier episode of the Pick and Go podcast, say that there's the regular season Crusaders and then there's the business end of the season Crusaders, and they're two different teams almost. But surely they're in a wee bit of trouble here. They're 0-2. They travel to Fiji to take on the Drua this weekend, a match that they lost last season, a match where they rested a number of key players last season. We still haven't seen the team sheet yet, but can they afford to rest players this weekend?
Nah, no way. And I don't think they have the depth in those players to be in those positions to be able to rest guys as well. I think saw a stat they haven't lost back-to-back games since 2014. Well, they haven't lost 3 in a row since 2013. So this team will be well aware of that. The conditions on the weekend look pretty gnarly too, 32 degrees and thunderstorms. So the Fijians have rolled out the welcome mat for the boys. It's interesting, like what Pity touched on before, that new coach part's real interesting for me, because I do wonder, like, we've seen 2 different teams already and then Harvey finished the game there on the weekend. I wonder if having Razor there, perhaps just playing that mentor role, would have helped some of these young lads thrive a little bit more, because it seems like at the moment, Rob Penny and co, they haven't really set on a 10. I think they need to pick and stick in that position and really just back these young lads. So it's something to watch. Like you said, though, just got to make that quarterfinal. They could have Fergus Burke by then as well. So then they'd be a completely different side.
It just seems so strange saying the Crusaders don't have a number 10, or
it's so good. It's so good.
they don't have a at the very least a settled number 10. And as Shirley said, when Fergus Burke comes back off injury, he may be the answer to that equation. But by then, the season could be gone, Pity.
Yeah, I guess they'll be doing everything they can to try and make sure that they tick away at it and try and get those W's, so that by the time he's back, it can help sort of, I guess, get them in the right end of the field, play more consistent footy, and be a part of the Crusaders that we've all seen in the past. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's going to be, like Shirley said, like going to Fiji. The atmosphere there is can be quite frightening if you're you're a foreigner from there. I've played over there a few times, and they're real passionate about their home team doing really well, which any team is. But yeah, they come. I've seen them in the bloody trees watching games and things like that. Support, and it's just like, geez, we don't have any of that in Super Rugby over here. But I guess that's what makes it so unique and so cool to go over to Fiji, is that it doesn't matter where you are. There's always a spot for them to watch footy, and they love it.
I'm guessing, I don't know how many times you played over there, Pity, but I'm guessing as soon as you get off the plane, they welcome you. Their hospitality is wonderful, and as soon as you get on that field, they want to bash the hell out of you.
Oh, Silly was talking about a storm. We played Fiji with the Maldives, and it was actually it had pissed down. There was like ankle deep water, and they were contemplating on canning the game, and we're like, yeah, if one of us get caught at the bottom of a rock, good luck. You're asking for bloody paramedics to come on and with them. But we ended up playing the game. It was horrendous, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what conditions they have. They've on the field, they just want to play footy no matter what it looks like, and they'll be used to that kind of stuff too. The underfoot, it might not be the greatest, but they're used to throwing the ball around and with a footy and just having fun.
Righty-ho. Let's have a look at what happened last week in terms of matches. And the first match to kick off, super round in Super Rugby, the Highlanders up against the Blues. And although the Highlanders were only 8 points off, I think the scoreline may have flattered them slightly. They scored that try right on full time. The Blues seemed to be in control pretty much throughout the match. The Highlanders kept it close, and then that try just on half time, I think may have just broken the will of the Highlanders, and then the Blues just went on. I guess highlighted by the fact Satutu scored hat-tricks early.
Yeah, I think he's got, 5 tries to start the season, so clearly he's really fired up this year after being left out of that World Cup team last year, because he's looking unreal. Even just his work rate around the paddock, like in the past he's kind of been criticized for whenever he's got the ball being outstanding, but whenever the ball's away from him he kind of clocks off. But he looks a completely different player. I thought the Landers were really good when it was 15-on-15. I think they lost Ratamatavuki Nepkins just before halftime, and then he came back about 10 minutes into the second half, and the Blues had already scored twice, and the game was kind of gone from them there. So I was actually gutted to see them score that last try. I was on a power play. Blues 11-20. Mark Talia to score. Of course, the slipperiest man in rugby. He ticked that box. It was looking pretty. They score on the death. My DMs exploded because I was tipping it out all over Instagram, and yeah, the hearts of the nation were broken. But yeah, well done to the Blues. It was a good win. They'll probably be disappointed to let the Landers score late, but there's still plenty of positives there for the Highlanders. Like, I've never seen a Welsh first five with so much razzle like Patchell. He's clearly bought into the New Zealand way of playing. Him and Fakatava look great. Gilbert, Ratamatavuki Nepkins, like that back three is deadly. So they've got something to build on there. And then this week against the Tars, like, that becomes so interesting all of a sudden.
The Blues, one of the 3 unbeaten teams left in the comp, Pity. Were you impressed by their performance last week?
I think I'm a bit like Celia. I was more impressed with the Highlanders in terms of the efforts. Like, yeah, they finished with a try at the end there, but I mean, it would have been good to have that 15-on-15 for 80 minutes, and I think it would have been a different outcome in terms of the way that they would have played. I mean, we did talk about that young energy, the youthness in the Highlanders team, and they'll be hungry just to play footy. And although they did get those 2 tries in the second half, those quick ones, it kind of like in a game scenario, it can play on your mind that, like, damn it, we just let them score 2 quick tries, and now we've got to try and figure out how we can get 2 quick ones ourselves. So we just got to buy our time until our man gets back from the pine. But I was more impressed with the efforts that the Highlanders put in more than the Blues. But I mean, to run from your goal line from Perofeta before half time and give them, well, basically break away and give them that opportunity to get ahead, that's some balls and confidence from him to do that. So obviously they're oozing with a lot of confidence the way that they've been playing the last couple of weeks, that they can understand that, okay, I'm going to do this, you're going to come with me, and we can play footy. So yeah, it was a good actually encounter between the two teams.
Right. Battle of the Pacific. And it certainly was. I guess the scoreline was exactly what we expected. Free-flowing rugby. Point score 39-36 to Moana Pacifica. Well done to them. But I know we were the preview, the season preview. I think I asked everyone who the wooden spooner was going to be, and that. Right now, that's all gone out the window. I think we said Moana Pacifica. I think Surly might have mentioned the Waratahs.
Yeah, jeepers.
So I'm not saying that either of those teams might not end up with the spoon, but they've certainly they're playing with a lot of vigor now. And Moana Pacifica were very, very impressive against the Drua Surly.
Yeah, they were. I think they've kind of found that perfect balance with Tana at the helm between using their flair and their physical attributes, but at the same time having a base structure that they can fall back on when things aren't working. So I was really impressed with them. At halftime, I was nervous. I think it was like 15-8 or 15-7, and I was like, man, when are the points coming? Because I was all over the overs, but luckily the floodgates opened in the second half. It was just so cool to see like the amount of pride and passion that both these teams play with. You can tell there's a genuine rivalry forming there between these two sides, and it was cool to see Moana get their first win against the Drua too, because that only fuels the fire. But personally, I'd love to see that game played every week. I think that is a fixture that people should watch every time, because you just don't know what happens. You clock off for 10 seconds and then all of a sudden there's a break and someone's scoring under the post, and it's crazy scenes. It's just so good to watch.
But it's not the sort of game where you can walk away, make a cup of tea and come back, because you may have missed 2 or 3 tries by the time you've done it. So were you impressed by both sides?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people have always expected the Drua to be the way that they are, throw the ball around, be excited, and entertain the crowds. And I guess with the last 2 weeks, the way that Moana Pacifica has been playing, put in a good effort round 1, and then obviously this week, a bit slow, but they come right. And even though they played for maybe 10, 15 minutes with only 13 players, they've done pretty well to, sort of give themselves enough room so that their leader can come back on and basically disrupt it, which is exactly what he did. He must have felt stink after his spell for 10 minutes, but he managed to knock the ball down, and they kicked it out and won the game. But it was physical, entertaining, and it's exactly what we enjoy watching when it comes to the Pacifica teams.
Right, next game. Boy, oh boy, talk about upsets. I had the Crusaders 13 and over in my multi last week. Well, at least I didn't have to watch the whole game to know that that multi was dead and buried. Crusaders 24, Waratahs 37. And it's not just the scoreline, it's the way that the Waratahs were able to dismantle the Crusaders that has me concerned about their chances this season. Surly?
Yeah, I'm the same as you, mate. It was bonus backs galore for me because they were in all of my multis, and that was the one leg that fell short after 80 seconds when Macca Springer scored. I thought I was home and hosed, mate. I was starting to text the boys, let's go to the pub, beers are on me. And thankfully I didn't send those texts because, geez, it would have been a tough weekend on the wallet. But yeah, the Tars, they got some good young talent there, who really stepped up. You could tell they were up for that game. And I think after the match, it was Tane Edmund, the first five. He was almost in tears talking about how much it meant to beat the Crusaders. So, yeah, clearly they were up for that one. I had them as the wooden spooners. Perhaps that was a bit bold. I was also on the Force, very bold there. So clearly I don't understand Australian rugby at all. But yeah, well done to the Waratahs. It'll be interesting now to see if they can go back home and back it up, because if they don't, then that win was kind of pointless. But full credit to them.
Don't worry about that, Sealy. I don't think Australian rugby understand Australia rugby. You know, they signed Eddie Jones, what, a year out from the World Cup. I mean, what were they thinking? Waratahs, very, very good, Pity.
Yeah. I'm like, silly. I saw the first try and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. And then all of a sudden it's like, I wanted to walk away, but I couldn't because the Tars actually got themselves back into it pretty quick. And then it was just like tit for tat for a while. And then I'm just like, what's going on here? This isn't the Crusaders that we've known in the past to, score first and then, stay where they are. They're usually the ones that, although sometimes they do let teams get a good start on them and they just claw their way back into it. But I guess when you don't have that experience of Sam Whitelock and co, who've moved on to help guide the team, and you start wondering, are they actually struggling a bit with depth and also, I guess, a bit of leadership to help get them through it in times when they're actually under the pump.
I think we've seen this with the Crusaders before, where they've lost a bit of talent at the end of the season, but they've had this factory that just churns out other players to take their positions. This season, or at the end of last season, beginning of this may be slightly different because it was a mass exodus of a huge amount of talent, not just on the field, but in the coaching ranks as well. And that might mean that they just take a little longer to get up to speed again, or it might mean that this is one of the seasons where they just have to put a line through it and then build towards next season. Can you see the Crusaders bouncing back from this, Celia? I know we're only 2 games into the season, and there's plenty of water to flow under the bridge, but that it's just the fact that they don't have that depth that they've had before could come back to bite them, seeing as they've got off to such a poor start.
Yeah, I think the biggest one is, I guess, just getting around that new structure that Rob Penny's going to play, and the differences between the way Razor and co ran the cutter. If they can get Burke back for finals time, then I certainly wouldn't write them off, because there's still so much quality amongst that side if you look at the names on paper. So you'd back them to sort it out and come right. But the more the losses rack up, the more the pressure and the doubt will start to creep into their minds. So it's going to be an interesting situation to monitor. You'd have to think, though, well, they've still got 7 or 8 All Blacks in that team. So you'd back them to bounce back, surely.
Right, let's move on to some positive news for New Zealand rugby and the shining light, the top of the table Chiefs, who put on a clinic against the Brumbies. They look they probably could have scored another 2 or 3 tries. They don't seem to have too many weaknesses, Pity.
Geez, you really want to ask me? Just ask Silly. He's all about Chiefs mana. Well, I guess we talked about it last week leading up to the game. We weren't too sure if DMAC was going to play because of his injury that he got from round 1. But, I mean, they've just continued on from round 1 in terms of how they're playing, the structure, the confidence that they have. I guess, they're definitely the team to keep your eye on. It'll be interesting to see. I know they only lost, was it 1 or 2 games last year? I think they might have rested a few players in those games, but I mean, this might be the year that they could potentially go lossless. They could go
All
pretty
the
much
way.
all the way without losing a game with the style that they're playing, the way and the confidence that they've got. I think it helps that you've got it doesn't matter if D-Mac comes off and Ioane goes on, he's just trying to continue exactly what he started. Usually when boys come on from the bench, they try something a little bit different. That might not be the right thing at the time, but he's just continued on from what D-Mac was doing, and then the versatility of the both of them. Both can play at fullback, and using those two as options as well as two pivots is pretty huge as well. But I mean, they've got flair everywhere. It's annoying.
Surely the Brumbies well and truly beaten here, but I think it's more a reflection of just how good the Chiefs are as opposed to the Brumbies are really, really bad. I'm sure that we'll see them bounce back, but in terms of the Chiefs, they really do. They don't seem to have too many weaknesses, if any.
Nah, and like Pity said before, I was trying to think, this All Black rest, this mandatory load management and stuff, how is that going to affect them? But then in comes Joshua to start at 10, because Damien McKenzie has been outstanding to start this year. Then they've still got guys like Josh Lord and Moni Narawa to come back. Couple All Blacks there. So yeah, this team is stacked. The squad is really deep, and the majority of them have been together for 2 or 3 years now. They know how well each other play. Then you got guys like Etienne Nano Satoro, who wouldn't look out of place in an All Black jersey at the moment. His footwork is crazy. So they're going to be a tough team to beat. It does look like at the moment, them, Blues and the Canes, they're kind of a step ahead of everyone else, and then there could be a bit of a drop-off. So it'll be interesting to see if that's the way it keeps playing out. But at the moment, if you're from Hamilton, you could be excused for having Mad Monday early, because things are looking pretty sharp down there.
Well, I hope that Surly curse doesn't come back to bite the Chiefs. He's called the
Hey, don't bring that on me, mate. Look, the Force didn't work out, the Tars didn't, but I'm confident on the Chiefs Blues final, mate. Right at home.
Right, last game of the round, boy. Talk about the edge of the seat action. If you're a Canes fan, you'll know exactly the feelings that Canes fans had on Sunday afternoon watching their team. This it was almost like when Pity was playing. We go, oh no, what's going on? Oh, they come back again. Where did they come from?
Not that halfback again. Here he goes.
Oh, here he is, dummying going by himself again. Oh my god.
Well, speaking of halfbacks, there are a number of very, very good performances by halfbacks. And there was one on the final game of round 2 of Super Rugby, Pity.
Yeah, I should have put him for a double. Bloody hell. But not only that, I mean, for them to basically finish strong right at the end, it pretty much says that they've been working very hard in terms of the way that they know how to stay in the fight and try and finish it. I think there was moments in that game that they probably thought, nah, we're not going to do this, but with a bit of help, I guess it helped that when TJ was on the sideline there, running waters and so on, he's still got that experience to help the boys pass on messages and that. But I think they know how to get themselves out of trouble now after that battle that they had in Melbourne against the Reds. Even though the Reds, man, they were pretty much there to play. They done everything possible. They put a lot of pressure on the Hurricanes. I think it was tit for tat at scrum time too a few times. So it was in terms of a performance from the Hurricanes, I think that's one that they should be happy about, because there's a lot of learnings that they got out of it, and probably the biggest one is being able to go to extra time and get the job done. So yeah, I got a bit of a heart attack a little bit watching watching it. I'm like, damn it!
Now you know how we feel. Certainly a big game for Geordie Barrett, and there was a big presentation to him after the game, but he didn't last the whole game. Look, I can understand the way the rules are interpreted these days, that was always going to be a yellow card. And then obviously after review, got changed to a red card. Now, I know Pity probably has his views on that, but when you look at Geordie, can you see a better way of dealing with, I guess, foul play?
Yeah, I'm all in on what John Kerwin suggested in amongst his kind of 10 commandments. If people saw that the other week of copying the NRL's way, you're on report, you cop the yellow card, you're on report, and then anything else gets dealt with after. It takes away that heat of the moment decision. It allows them to really go over the footage and run through it with a fine-tooth comb, decide whether it was malice or accidental. Plus, it doesn't ruin the rest of the fixture. I think the result in the end was a good one, and I like how Super Rugby you're able to bring guys back on after that 20-minute mark. But I do think something like an on report would be great for the game in general across all levels. World Cup was a great example of that. Need I rehash those wounds? But I do think there's a bit of merit in that one. And yeah, well done to the Canes for getting the job done. But now he faces a 4-week suspension. I think the judiciary's tonight, or it might have been last night. Not too sure on the result. But if he's out for 4 weeks, that is a massive loss for the Canes.
Pity, you were thinking along the same lines as Searley and John Kerwin there in regards to how officials deal with foul play?
Yeah, I'm all on board with that. There's no point in sending them to the sin bin for 10 minutes and then, hang on, no, we're just going to upgrade it to a red card. Put it on report and deal with whatever the punishment is later on after the game. Go to the judiciary and then whatever the sanctions are from it after that. But yeah, I don't know. There was a couple on the weekend that got upgraded from yellow to a red. My thoughts are sometimes the people in control in the middle probably have never played rugby in their life, and yet they're here trying to make a judgment call that it was reckless. It's a split time, a split second of trying to dip and make a tackle on someone at the right height. For someone like, I'm not saying just because he's tall, but in rugby, we're taught to try and hold up the ball so that they can't get an offload. Or if you drop tackle, you need to get up straight away. But most of the time, boys are trying to hit man and ball at the same time, not trying to purposely go out there and injure someone and, head-on-head contact. But, I mean, I definitely want, them to properly look at it instead of a red card during the game. If it's a red card, make the call right from the start. Not go yellow card and then TMO gets to make a decision after a few minutes before they can decide, no, it's a red card.
Right.
Just report it later.
All right, we've helped out Super Rugby there, I think, big time. I'm sure they're big listeners of the podcast as well, so I expect to see a change in how they interpret those decisions in the coming weeks. Look, we're running out of time, so we better get on to this week. Quick preview of all the matches that feature New Zealand teams. And the first one off the block is the Tars up against the Highlanders. Now, this is a lot more interesting after the results of week 2. The Tars, they're a $1.70 favourite up against the Highlanders, who are $2.25. The draw's at $15. The Tars are 2.5-point favourites. Surly, are you buying what the Tars are selling?
It's a tough one, hey, because prior to that Crusaders win, I would have been all over the Highlanders, and you can see a world in which that game was a bit of a one-off for the Tars, and the Landers proved to be the better squad. So, yeah, this one's a real coin toss for me. You'd have to think Waratahs at home probably get the job done. 2 weeks on the road isn't easy, although I'm sure the Highlanders lads are enjoying the Sydney climate this time of year. She's probably a bit warmer and a bit more eventful than down there in Dunners. But, yeah, I'll back the Tars at home. If this game was in Dunedin, though, I'd be all over the Landers.
Pity, Tars or Highlanders for you?
I'm going to go with the Landers. After watching them on the weekend, Silly mentioned it earlier with Petrel playing. I think he's really getting himself into the way that we play Super Rugby over here, to the style that he's used to, sitting in the pocket and just delivering or kicking. He's taking the ball to the line, throwing offloads, and I think they might actually get up this week. So I'm picking the Landers.
Beautiful. Next match that we're going to have a look at, the Drua up against the Crusaders over there in Fiji. First of all, the conditions that they'll be playing under, they'll have a big effect on the game. At the moment, the Drua $2.70, Crusaders $1.47, the draws at $18. The Drua are 7.5 point underdogs at home, and the game total 62.5 points. Surly, plus 7.5. Is that enough for you to entice you into the Drua?
Yeah, it is. And give me that head-to-head as well. I find it hard to bet against the Drua at home regardless. And a Crusaders side that's wounded, that could probably play in their factor because they know they need to win this game. But I think Drua's first game of the year in Fiji, no doubt the crowd will come out in massive numbers despite the horrible weather conditions. They'll be well acclimatized and know the style that they want to play. I do think that weather could actually suit the Crusaders because it means it's more structure-based and they have a very strong forward pack still. That front row, that tight five is deadly. But I'm going to back the Drua. I'll go the plus 7.5, and they may feature in my multi as well on a head-to-head basis because, yeah, they'll smell blood in the water and they'll want to repeat on last year. They'll be confident they can do it.
You with the Buller boys as well, Pity? Or you haven't given up on the Crusaders?
No, in Fiji, I'm backing the Drua, so I'm bring out the cover and sit around.
I have to agree. I can't believe this. We're all in agreement here. We're all on the Drua. Look, when the bookies set markets for these matches, they usually factor in a home field advantage, and it's usually fairly standard for every team. But I think for the Drua, you have to go just push it out a wee bit further, just because that they are such a different team. You brought in the crowd will be 100% for the home team.
Yep.
And they'll be noisy. They'll let the Crusaders know they're not at home. They're in enemy territory, and that sort of momentum just builds and builds and builds. So if the Crusaders to be any chance, I think they have to score early and stay in front. I don't think they can't let the Drua get ahead early because I think the Drua will just roll on and on and on. So yeah, I'm with you guys too. I love the Drua. Next game, Canes here at the Tinny House. 235.
Hey, you can't see that.
Oh.
What's the goal?
At the Coliseum. Canes 235, Blues $1.62. The draw at $16. Canes are 3.5 point underdogs. The game total was set at 55.5. Pity, can the Canes do it?
Yeah, I think they could, or they can do it. It's just whether they, get themselves prepped and ready to go. Because obviously, Blues are a pretty strong outfit, so it's like going to be a tough one. But yeah, I think the Canes can do it.
Surly.
If there's no Geordie, then I think the Blues get the job done. And the Blues would be feeling very fortunate because I think last year they took on the Canes down there at the Tinny House, as Paulie named it. I'll back him on that because I haven't had any experience on that myself. But they didn't have Artie last year when the Blues went down there and got the win either. So I think Geordie, he's probably going to miss some time. I don't know about the 4 weeks, but I'd say he'll probably get 2. And with that in mind, I think the Blues will just have too much across the park. But it'll be a 1-12. It'll be a very tight game. But yeah, no Barrett. Blues get the dub.
I hate to say it, but I sort of agree with Surly there. If Geordie's out, and it looks like he probably will be, I've got to go with the Blues. Look, I'll be at the game, I think. So I'll be cheering for the Canes. But if I'm honest, I think the Blues are probably going to have the upper hand, especially if Geordie's out. So
I see what you're doing, Paulie, mate. You don't fool me whatsoever. The old reverse psychology. And then again, next week, you'll be wearing your Hurricanes jersey saying you were backing the boys all the way.
that actually looks like a Lycra cycling top that James jersey. Oh, no, I can't wear it anymore.
That's pretty much a long way of just saying that I'm sitting on the fence.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, gee. Right, let's move on to the next game. Reds $4.20, Chiefs $1.25, draw at $21. Reds 12.5-point underdogs. The game total set at 57.5. Surly, Chiefs just keep on rolling. Or the Reds have historically troubled the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think last year they came over and ruined that winning streak where they were almost going to go the season undefeated. So there could be a bit of a chip on the shoulder here for the Chiefs. I like them in this game, but I think the Reds now have perhaps moved into that top Aussie side because we thought it was going to be the Brumbies. Well, they got annihilated. So this is a chance for the Reds to make a real game of this one over in Brisbane. So it should be a good game. I'll back the Chiefs, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is another high-scoring one and it finishes up in that 1-12 region as well, because I think the Reds are demanding some respect at the moment.
Pity, Reds for you as well. Sorry, Chiefs.
Reds. Whoa,
Chiefs.
Again with the reverse psychology. Jeez. Right, just making it clear I'm on the Chiefs, Paulie. Don't get too carried away. If it was the Force, maybe I'd go on the Force, just because I was big on them. But
Chiefs for you.
Yeah, I think the way that they've been playing, it's hard to say without having the starting lineup, but I don't think it matters with them at the moment because I think everyone that's been playing the last couple of weeks have put their hand up to say that you pick me again. Let's just roll on from what we've started and continue this momentum. So yeah, I'm picking the Chiefs to get the job done.
Right. Let's have a look back at last week. The results of last week from our tipping, and we'll go with me first. I was hopeless. I had the Crusaders 13 and over in my multi, so that multi was gone just like that. In fact, I had the Canes in there. It didn't matter. I was gone. It was no good. Pity, on the other hand. Now this is pretty good. You took a multi, and I've given you the benefit of the doubt here. You took Moana Pacifica, cool. But you took the Chiefs, cool. And you took the Canes. Now, if you took the Canes in the match result market, that was a losing bet because it was a draw at the end of the 80 minute, at the end of the regulation. But if you took the Canes head to head, that includes golden point time, and they won in golden points. So I've given you the benefit of the doubt there. So your 3-leg multi did get up $50 on to return $245.
Damn it! That's a. Don't do that again. No. For real money? No.
And then you had 25 on Moana Pacifica, just by that returned $70. And then 25 on Caleb Clark to be the first try scorer. That was your only bet that wasn't successful, but you picked up $245 and $70 off those first two bets. So you went very, very well. Yeah. Surly, you want to tell us how you went?
to be honest, mate, I can't even remember. Do you have the bets written down? I know I had the Crusaders in my multi, so that would have killed me. I think I had them 13 plus as well, so that hurts. So I'm tipping that I didn't have any winners, unfortunately.
Okay, let's have a look at this week then. All the games are up. The teams aren't out as we speak, so if you want to take a first try scorer, we can throw it in there. We just don't know what price your player will be paying. Surly, do you want to throw us where your $100 will be heading this week?
Yeah, so I've just gone with two $50 multis. The first one is Moana to beat the Rebels. The draw with that 7.5 point start against the Crusaders. The Blues over the Canes and the Chiefs over the Reds. That's paying $8.89, which I thought was quite juicy. And then the second multi is just a what I like to call a Pacific powerhouse multi. Moana and the Drua both head-to-head to get the dubs, $6.84. I thought that was really generous.
Right, Pity, you're flying high after last week, which means there's probably only one way to go. It's straight down. But where are you going to go this weekend?
So I'm going to go with a multi, 25 on the Landers, Canes, and Drua. And then I'm going to put 75 on the Canes to win.
Okay.
Come on!
My confidence is beat. I'm really struggling now. So I'm going very, very simple. I'm taking a 2-leg multi. It's a match result in both games. Blues to beat the Canes. Chiefs to beat the Reds. It comes out at $2.02. I'm putting the whole 100 on there. I'm just hoping to get on the winning side of the ledger. And then if that happens, then I'll start sort of opening up the shoulders.
Oh, the training wheels are back on. The training wheels are on.
So, yeah, I'm just going to take it easy this week. Hopefully, those are two locked in, ready to go results for me. Otherwise, I'll get the dartboard out next week and I'll just start trying to find winners that way. But
I thought that's what you're doing every week.
That's
all I'm doing.
I'm going about as well as in the tipping comp as well. So I don't want to say where I am there. We'll have a look at that next week, and we'll just see where all three of us are, because I think we're in for a big week this week in terms of the tipping comp. Having a look at the promotions that we've got on this weekend. Don't forget there's the Oval Ball Mega Multi Buster just to head to the promotions tab in the Punters Lounge on the TRB website or on the app. We've also got a same game claim on all of the Super Rugby matches in round 3 that feature New Zealand teams. So that's the Tars, Highlanders, Drua Crusaders, Canes Blues, and Reds Chiefs. Those are the 4 games that we've got a same game claim on. So if you like your same game multis, have a go there. You might qualify for a bonus bet if you don't win your multi in those games. Guys, it's we've come to the end of another podcast. Is there anything you want to sign off with, Surly? Anything that we haven't mentioned so far?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it. I've got my weekly apology out for tipping out a loser from the Australian team. So there we go. Yeah, that's about it.
Pity, you're going to be at the stadium on Saturday night. What do you do? Do you?
No, I'm actually going to be at the Manu Comp in Auckland.
Are you?
I'm a judge. I'm a judge, but they've asked me to potentially pop a Manu. So,
a guess Manu. There's nothing better.
Yes, exactly. The guess Manu. So I'll be getting a bit cold up in Tamaki on Saturday while watching everyone pop their Manu and then jumping in and doing it myself. It's actually going to be quite funny because my niece she qualified from down here, won the Wellington one for the females, and so if she's bad, I'm going to give it to her. And I'm pretty sure if she sees mine and it's teach, she's going to give it to me.
I think this may be the first competition ever where a relation of one of the competitors is actually a judge. I'm not sure that actually happens in a lot of professional sports.
No. So, no, it's going to be pretty cool. The setup there is actually pretty mean. Like, I've seen a few clips and stuff, so I can't wait to go up to it and have a geese.
Have you done a Manu down at the waterfront down here? And what, you know, that sort of staircase,
little towery thing.
Yeah.
No,
have you ever done one there?
No, not yet. It's a little bit too high for my liking, but if I have to pop a Manu, I'll try.
Surly, you're going to be popping Manus up in Auckland this weekend?
Nah, none of that, mate. I'll be staying dry, hopefully. Just on the couch, watching footy, playing it safe. Us Pākehā boys, we don't really have a good Manu in us. Well, speaking on my behalf anyway.
Right. That's it thanks for sharing the Manu with us there, Pity, and all the best with the judging up in Auckland this weekend. Thanks to you guys for listening to another edition of the Pick and Go podcast. Don't forget to tune in next week when we'll have a look back at how successful we were in round 3 of Super Rugby, and we'll look ahead to round 4 as well.